Okay. This is gonna have to be part 1 of 2. I tried to do this one other time and it came out too long. So this will be part 1 of 2. So number 1. The hijackers were not 19 idiot cave dwellers, as truthers like to assert. They were fairly well educated, and as we're on the subject, terrorists are generally yet well educated. They're generally from middle to upper middle class families, normal families. If you look into it, I've actually taken a counterterrorism class before. I've actually studied it. The typology of a terrorist is, in fact, one of an upper to middle class family, fairly well educated. So that's beyond the point, though. Okay, so they're generally well educated. They were highly motivated. They were highly trained and well financed international terrorist operatives who, in their own mind, were on a mission from God, and that especially makes them dangerous. And every single one of them was a licensed pilot, and I'm pretty sure that all of them were licensed commercial pilots, if not just licensed pilots, if there is a difference. Furthermore, the assertions regarding the alcohol abuse, partying, etc., although not even remotely proven beyond a reasonable doubt, by no means discounts the fact that they could be radical Islamists, and that they were trained to mix in with us kafir infidels. So partying really doesn't have anything to do with it. They were fitting in. Anyways, furthermore, let me read you a little something from an experienced pilot by the name of Julio Venancio. Okay, and I quote: "In my opinion, the official version of the facts is absolutely plausible. Does not require exceptional circumstances, bending of any laws of physics or superhuman capabilities. Like other real pilots have said, the maneuvers required of the hijackers were within their very limited capabilities. They performed without any degree of finesse and resulted in damage to the targets only after desperate over-maneuvering of the planes. The hijackers took advantage of anything that might make their job easier, and decided not to rely on their low piloting skills. It is misleading to make people believe that the hijackers had to possess superior pilot skills to do what they did." I have other examples of pilots making similar statements in regards to the hijackers, but I think that one should suffice for now. But if you want to know more, you can go to 911myths.com under the hijackers section, labeled "How could such sophisticated attacks have been carried out by a bunch of flight school dropouts?" Okay. Number 2. As to NORAD. NORAD is not designed to intercept domestic aircraft that have been hijacked. It is designed to intercept incoming international flights such as Soviet bombers, and will prove that their flight responses were nowhere near out of the ordinary, with an example that truthers actually used to bolster their claims, that of the Payne Stewart incident and the supposed speedy recovery, in which at 9:33, and I quote, from the NTSB, at 9:33 Eastern Domestic Time, 6 minutes and 20 seconds after N47BA acknowledged the previous clearance, the controller instructed N47BA to change radio frequencies and contact another Jacksonville ARTCC controller. The controller received no response from N47BA. The controller called the flight 5 more times over the next 4.5 minutes, but received no response. About 9:52 CDT, U.S. Air Force F-16 test pilot from the 40th Flight Test Squadron at Anglin Air Force Base, Florida, was vectored to within 8 nautical miles of N47BA. About 9:54 and at about 9:54 CDT, at a range of 2,000 feet from the accident airplane, an altitude of about 46,000 feet, the test pilot made 2 radio calls to N47BA, but did not receive a response. Now, sounds good at first. That would mean the often claimed response time at 20 minutes. But if you had listened carefully, you have noticed a changed time zone from Eastern to Central Time. The Central Domestic Time is 1 hour above from Eastern Domestic Time. So contact was regarded as lost at around 9:38, and the fighter didn't get to the target within 50 or 2,000 feet of Stewart's jet until 10:54. That's roughly 76 minutes from the controllers realizing that there's a problem to intercept taking place. Too bad for you truthers that you can't comprehend the concept of time zones, as your theory just proved my case. Okay. Actually, and there's other examples of that, such as I believe his name was Charlie Bishop, who rammed the he was like the fucking teenager who rammed the building, or he rammed the like Cessna whatever into the building, and it was like a response time of like 55 minutes. That's also a 9/11 miss if you want to look into it. Okay, number 3, as to the Pentagon. If you don't believe that the Pentagon was hit by a plane, then you have to explain the following questions. Why does the size of an initial hole match that of a 757, somewhere between 13 and 16 feet? A 757 is 13 feet wide slash high. Okay. Why do the rims found in the building match those of a 757? Why is there a small APU turbine engine that was found outside? Why was that same engine clearly been stated not to match that of a Global Hawk engine? Why were blue seats from a 757 laying on the ground in photos? Why is part of an American Airlines fuselage logo visible in more than one photo? Why were engine parts photographed from inside that match a Rolls-Royce RB211? Why were structural components photographed in the wreckage that match a Boeing paint primer scheme? Why was a large diesel generator in front of the building appear to have been hit by a large heavy object? Why was that same large diesel engine outside spun towards the building, meaning that it could not have been the result of a bomb blast or missile explosion? Why do multiple eyewitnesses say they saw an airliner? Why do multiple eyewitnesses say they saw an airliner hit the Pentagon? And why were 60-plus bodies matching the passenger lists and flight crew rosters identified and returned to families from the Pentagon wreckage? Now, if you want to get into light hop territory, I find this really funny because truthers have said that Flight 93 being shot down is a sign of a conspiracy, yet Flight 77 not being shot down is also a sign of a conspiracy. You people need to make up your minds. You can't have it both ways. Not to mention that truthers' claims of a standout order have in fact been proven to be a shoot-down order in the first place. But even if they weren't, and the truthers are right, does failure to make a call to fire on a civilian aircraft really prove that someone is in on a conspiracy, or rather is that proof that they are a human being? You be the judge. Alright, I'm gonna stop at that. I think I can fit in another one. Okay, number 4. As to why the World Trade Center's collapsed, I suggest you read the NIST report, but I will give you the short reason of why they collapsed. World Trade Centers 1 and 2 didn't collapse from fires alone. They fell because, number 1, the impact of the planes severed and damaged support columns, dislodged fireproofing insulation coating the steel floor trusses and steel columns, and widely dispersed jet fuel over multiple floors. And number 2, the subsequent unusually large jet fuel ignited multi-floor fires which reached temperatures as high as 1,000 degrees Celsius, significantly weakened the floors and columns, which dislodged fireproofing to the point where floors sagged and pulled inward on the perimeter columns. This led to the inward bowing of perimeter columns and failure of the south facade, or the south face of World Trade Center 1 and the east face of World Trade Center 2, initiating the collapse of both towers. Both photographic and video evidence, as well as accounts from the New York Police Department Aviation Unit during a half-hour period prior to the collapse, support this sequence of events. Okay, so I'm going to stop it there, and you'll have to see part 2.